Coming up on Texas Parks and Wildlife.
You know, it's now paying off where we have surplus populations. They're thriving.
I like the diversity of the trails. They're not necessarily real technical, but they're beautiful.
The lures are made of things we wouldn't think of using today. These are made of bone.
President Johnson wanted the public to see how life was like when he grew up and what made him do many of the legislative acts that he did.
Texas Parks and Wildlife, a television series for all outdoors.
This series is funded in part by a grant from the Wildlife and Sport Fish Restoration Program. Through your purchase of hunting and fishing equipment and motorboat fuels, over $40 million in conservation efforts are funded in Texas each year.
Additional funding provided by Ram Trucks. Guts, glory, Ram.
Before the sun rises, if you look off in the distance, you know, the mountains are silhouetted, almost as if they were just cut out. You begin to see all the details and all the defined lines and canyons, and it's a real beauty, natural beauty. You know, there's magic to this land. My name is Froilán Hernandez, and I'm the Desert Bighorn Sheep Program Leader for Texas Parks and Wildlife. When I'm up on top Elephant Mountain looking for the sheep, my first glimpse of them, it's overwhelming. Even if it's just a single animal, that's really what makes my job, you know, very interesting. I love my job. Historically, the native Texas desert bighorn sheep occurred in about 16 mountain ranges out here in the Trans-Pecos, mainly due to unregulated hunting, diseases associated with the introduction of domestic sheep and goats, and net wire fencing. Because of all those three things, they brought the demise of the desert bighorn, and by the early 1960s, they were gone. They were all gone from Texas. The restoration effort has been going on for more than 50 years. Luckily, the population in Texas is now big enough. We're using those sources to transplant the animals to Big Bend Ranch State Park.
The canyons that we have here, the hilltops will take you away. My name's Rod Treviso. I'm the General Park Superintendent for Big Bend Ranch State Park. We're not crowded, and this is the place to be and enjoy the vastness of this park. It's beautiful here. Every trail that we have out here is so unique in itself. One of the most popular hikes is the Close Canyon. The beauty of that place is amazing from beginning to end. And then mountain bikers, lots of miles. Our trails are well marked. Come enjoy them. The place is waiting for you. When we started talking about the release coming in to release the desert bighorn sheep at Big Bend Ranch, I was all up in thumbs. I'm like, yay, that's great. Why? Because we have so much to offer at Big Bend Ranch, and we were lacking the one more thing that could be. Another addition now is going to be the bighorn sheep.
The morning of the capture, there's a sense of excitement. Once they come upon a herd, they try and capture what we call family units. And that's another measure taken to increase survivability. They fly up and they bank and they come back and they turn around, and it's almost like a fast-paced roller coaster ride. It's all, precision work, really, all while keeping, the animal's welfare in mind. We try and rush these things because we try and minimize the stress to the animals. You look up at the mountain and here you see the bubble of the helicopter, and then you see the thing attached at the bottom, and you know they're sheep. And as they get closer, there they are.
When the idea came that they were going to capture all these the desert bighorn sheep over at the Elephant Mountain, I was invited over there by the wildlife guys, and I said, heck yeah, I want to be there. I want to witness it because I had never seen any of this done.
Get the back right here.
I just couldn't resist. I felt their horns.
Just grab him right under the arm.
They were so rough in a way, and then the animal just breathing right there, his hot hair breathing on my hands. It was just, it's like a rush that you get.
We ready? They weigh about what, 115 something? 15.
Just exciting, to see that and feel that animal right there in my hands.
Second from the end.
I just couldn't believe it. Because normally you see them way up in the mountains. I had them right there in my hands. It was beautiful.
Is she good on 10? 4 or 5. Yeah, it's okay.
Once at the processing station, they're aged.
You want to take a picture of the teeth?
Yeah. You take fecal samples. They also take blood samples. Take tissue samples.
4+ or 4+? 4+.
And those radio collars are there to help us monitor the bighorns.
GPS 0434.
So that's where we get movement and identify other variables such as travel corridors.
Are we good? Let's put him in the trailer.
Now, once the animal is done being processed and he's taken over to the trailer, at that point he's no longer hobbled.
Don't unstrap until we get over.
Yeah.
So you have to watch it, and it's almost like a mini rodeo.
This is it. As soon as we get those 2 sheep on the trailer, we're going to call it for the day.
From Elephant Mountain to the Bofecillos Mountains of Big Bend Ranch State Park, it's roughly about 2 hours. And that's going at 60, 65 miles an hour. We'll stop once or twice to make sure that everything's fine. And everything's fine. We keep on trucking.
Wow.
Just incredible.
We're the only state park in Texas with the bighorn now. It's amazing. And how fast they move, through the country. So they're right at home. This is excellent. It'll be another opportunity, another activity that our visitors can come and enjoy here.
Well, that's a good deal.
Hopefully we'll get to have all those rams running around and just doing well and multiplying in numbers like we want them to. I'm just very excited to have them here.
Come on, big boy. Okay.
This is a big deal for state parks. It wasn't a couple hours ago that they were at Elephant Mountain. Now here they are in their new home. Now they'll be here for the public to enjoy. And that to me is wonderful. It's a significant homecoming that's taken over 50 years to make it happen. The bighorns are back where they belong. It's a wonderful experience. It's my dream come true, and watching them go up the side of the mountain is just icing on the cake.
Very impressive, seeing those little white rumps just jump, moving so fast. Those animals look so happy to be home, releasing the country that they should be. We're here, we're seeing this, it's happening, you know, right in front of us. They're home again.
On the south edge of Dallas is a favorite spot for mountain bikers, Cedar Hill State Park.
It is an escape right here in the middle of the Metroplex. So there's a 3-mile loop, an 8-mile loop, and a 12-mile loop. This is a trail for everybody. We want everybody to come out and be able to enjoy it at their level, take their time if they want to.
It goes right by the lake. We're right here, trailhead.
But even for the most advanced rider, there's plenty of challenge.
You've got some really thick wooded sections that you go along the lake, followed by some prairies, so a good variety. As you ride and as you run through the park, you're going to be engaged. You won't be bored.
Yeah. I like the diversity of the trails. They're not necessarily real technical, but they're beautiful.
No, I'm kidding.
We have a lot of switchbacks, a lot of climbing, some long slopes that'll wear you out. But of course, then that means you got a nice downhill coming. There's always a reward at the end of it.
Yeah!
One reason cyclists enjoy these trails so much is that they built and maintain them.
DORBA does a really good job of organizing the trail work days.
Knock that mesquite down.
DORBA is an acronym for the Dallas Off-Road Bicycle Association. The trail itself has been 100% maintained by volunteer hours. Last year was a record year for us. We had over 10,000 hours contributed to trail maintenance in North Texas. And on this trail alone, we exceeded over 750 hours. That's in 1 year.
Hit those mesquite stumps with your weed eater. Most of our work is in cutting back the vegetation. It's a labor of love.
Especially as much as we're out here, we owe it. But you know, we're past that now. I mean, this is where we want to be.
How you doing? Good to see you again.
This is a good way to stop work. Cold drink of water and breakfast.
We take a lot of pride in the trail. We're out here anywhere from 2 to 5 times a week, running, riding the trails, or maintaining the trails.
This place is like a gym in the Metroplex. I would highly recommend it.
Oh my gosh, look at the sun. Wow.
The official name of this team is the Coastal Fisheries Restoration Team.
You got it right. It's pretty nebulous. None of us actually, I think, knew we were on a team, but it kind of makes sense because we all do aquatic habitat restoration.
And it's not just all about restoration on the ground. It's acquisition, it's preservation of habitats and lands, it's planning and strategies for the future.
Currently, because of human development and sea level rise, subsidence in the coastal area, it's having a huge impact on the natural resources.
Marsh loss in this area is huge. It's over 35,000 acres just in the Galveston Bay complex alone. Our projects are a drop in the bucket. Everything's really starting to spread too, getting rhizomes shooting out, looks real healthy, and it really is just a drop in a bucket. But every drop counts.
When we're working on a project may take several years to develop and to implement.
We're finding that there is a lot of support for restoration efforts all up and down the Texas coast, and this will make it easier in the future to go after funding. And funding sources are also pushing for more restoration efforts as they see that this is vital to ecological success.
But then we also have opportunities within our community. The one I'm working with in Dickinson is a watershed partnership. And that there was a wedge where sediment had accumulated in the channel. Okay, so let's remove the sediment, use it in a beneficial use method, and create habitat. That accomplishes a water quality goal, that accomplishes a habitat and fisheries goal. The main thing is it benefits the whole community.
The habitat conservation projects I work on involve the placement of legal protection through conservation easements, which provides perpetual protection for wetlands and stream habitats.
Unfortunately, fish kill events do occur. When that happens, we identify the responsible party and then seek compensation for those resources that were impacted. Those monies that we receive are then funneled into many of these restoration projects.
In these groups, you know, they've all come to the table and they've been willing to be reasonable and compromise when necessary, and who like each other now, at least if they didn't to begin with.
So this is an example of a coastal habitat restoration project where 3 years ago this area was almost all open water.
Conductivity 117.7.
I think everyone on our team is so dedicated and so passionate about their work that it shows. They'll do what it takes to get projects done, and they take pride and a sense of ownership.
I do think every drop counts, so that's why I continue to do it. Because these projects don't come easy, they are hard. And they're a lot of work, a lot of stress, a lot of sleepless nights. But it is for this end goal. And I think we do a good job at that, and that's why we are successful with our projects.
I'd like to catch one so you'd have a little action on that thing.
Fishing in antiquity has involved lures even in ancient times. The shapes are the same.
Jim Bolenbach collects all kinds of rods, reels, and tackle, some of which date back to the turn of the century.
This is a saltwater box from about 1900. All the tackle in it pretty much is the way I got it from its original owner, a man in San Diego. The lures are made of things we wouldn't think of using today. These are made of bone with brass fittings, with a hook or a double hook screwed to the bone and held in place by a wire.
Jim says fishing became a national pastime after World War II, and that everyone with an idea for a new lure obtained a patent and went into production.
Texas was a hotbed of this activity. There are a half a dozen of the biggest lure makers in the world. Got started in Texas right after the war. Names that every fisherman recognizes, like Pico, the Padre Island Company, Whopper Stopper, and Bomber Bait Company of Gainesville, Texas.
It all started in a dirt floor garage. These two gentlemen got together. So they came up with the idea, let's make a floating diving bait. It's one that floats on top of the water, and when you pull on it, it dives under the water. So you have the best of two worlds, which was back then revolutionary idea.
Bomber Bait Company has been in business since 1946, and the majority of work here is still done by hand.
The first step in the process is scraping the excess plastic off the bait so that it's a nice, smooth finish when it comes out the end of the line. There's as many as 11 to 15 different steps, just strictly painting that goes on them. It all depends on what the customer wants.
Some people are so amazed because they come in here and it's done so much by hand. They expect the baits to be on machines and going down, and practically no personnel doing it, but it's practically all hand work.
I started 20 years ago, better than 20 years ago, designing fishing lures. Back then, I would look at all the baits that Bomber makes and say, you can't make anymore. Everything's been made. That was 20 years ago. They're still going. It's just an ongoing process. Man thinks that this bait is better than the one he has. It's going to catch the trophy fish.
Rarely are we met with a challenge to the value and the meaning of our beloved nation. The issue of equal rights for American Negroes is such an issue.
President Lyndon Baines Johnson is perhaps best remembered for passing legislation to uphold civil rights, improve education, and help the poor. He was a man of the people, and his legacy is celebrated here at LBJ State and National Parks.
I think one of the things that President Johnson wanted the public to see here was how life was like when he grew up and what made him do many of the legislative acts that he did.
The Visitors Center chronicles his life from boyhood to high school. That's him circled on the right. Through his and Lady Bird's time in the White House, and finally his retirement here in Stonewall. A self-guided tour takes park visitors to the actual places that highlighted LBJ's life, his childhood home, his first school, and what he calls his Western White House, the place where President and Mrs. Johnson spent their final years.
The park is so unique. It has so many things about it. It's a historical park because it's a presidential park. But along with that, it comes with some really neat things that touch base with nature, the nature trail and the deer and the buffalo. And in the spring, the fields are beautiful with wildflowers. If you like to go swimming, we have a swimming pool. We have tennis courts, even a baseball field. No matter what your interest is, you can really enjoy the park and have a whole day of activities. And then there's a unique place called the Sauer Beckman Living History Farm.
This is a true working farm. It was all very basic. No running water, no electricity. It depicts life as a working farm in 1915.
It was one of the ideas of LBJ to actually have this happen, the concept of people realizing what life was like without electricity and running water. And he said, people aren't going to know that if we don't somehow preserve that.
Welcome to our parlor. Come on in. The tears that come in people's eyes when they come and visit.
So where was Granny living at? In Oklahoma.
Pointing with pride to a young grandchild, this is the way we did it. Or this is just like Mama did it.
Conservation, heritage, history, this park lives and breathes that every day.
Quick, come on, let's go over and stand by your tree you took down. I think if you guys are there,
swim practice yesterday, but we
September,
didn't swim.
October, they had the green fruit,
here.
and it's called maypop.
So this is a black swallowtail caterpillar, and it's just an example of how these little prairie patches, even though they're relatively small from a landscape scale, can be really great for pollinators.
Horse mint.
Horse mint.
Horse mint.
Okay. Do the horses eat it?
Not to my
I'm
knowledge.
gonna get a close-up of it. Oh, be still.
Yep.
Be still.
Oh, still.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, I can get it. I can zoom in real close. Let me just see it.
Isn't
and
it?
Let's see. There it is.
Yeah.
And I don't suppose you want to pick it.
Oh, sure.
Got a little squished.
Oh, bingo.
Came to me with Ileana and said, we'd like to work on the Bayou Streets and Rivers module this summer.
What's Rachel? Dewberry? No.
These don't make your tongue numb. That's the other tree. Like, oh no, I've fallen for this one before. I'll look for more of these. We'll wait for that. Caterpillar eggs on them. They're coming back through on their spring migration back up north. So I have seen a few.
The red and orange ones? Those are Indian blanket or gaillardias. And it'll look different in the fall. If you ever get back, it'll be great. You'll have all these tall yellow flowers. See these ones right here?
This series is funded in part by a grant from the Wildlife and Sport Fish Restoration Program. Through your purchase of hunting and fishing equipment and motorboat fuels, over $40 million in conservation efforts are funded in Texas each year.
Additional funding provided by Ram Trucks. Guts, glory, Ram.